So we're definitely doing Summoning Salt now. Imagine if this was in the Olympics. We're not too far off from gaming being in the Olympics, man. I think it's just around the corner. Unless you meant slapping, and then in that case, that'll never be in the Olympics. The athletes would die.
Super Punch-Out has garnered a reputation as one of the most random speedruns out there. Of course, there's still a broad skill set needed. Precise timing, quick reactions, and an ability to adapt on the fly.
There's a lot of
But
RNG in
even
the
when
run
you
too,
do
from what I
everything
remember.
right, a fighter can throw the run in the garbage whenever he pleases. How do you deal with that much randomness in the speedrun? Well,
cry.
the world record holders in Super Punch-Out have figured out a way. And over the past
Yeah, I have
decade,
played Super Punch-Out.
they've been able to beat it and drive the record down lower and lower.
So back when I was playing pretty much every shitty game ever made, not saying this is a shitty game, but I also, by extension, played a ton of not shitty games that just a few people didn't like. Super Punch-Out was one of them, where I was going to make a video out of it, but I just ended up really liking the game. So yeah, I have played Super Punch-Out. And like I said, I do know, like, at least a rudimentary understanding of the speedrun, because I remember when it got big on Reddit at one point. So I do know a decent bit about it going into it. And like I said, I'm pretty sure from what I remember, it's a cool story. At least back then, which would have been like 3 or 4 years ago now.
This is the history of Super Punch-Out world records.
Thanks for your sub stick figure. "50 minutes long, damn." Summoning Salt videos would be like an hour long, but they feel like 10 minutes. He's just able to tell us great fucking story. Thanks to Prime Pretentious.
Here's a timeline of the Super Punch-Out single segment record. It's not filled in yet, but we'll get it there. A single segment run is essentially playing through the whole game and adding up the in-game time of all fights. There are 16 boxers in Super Punch-Out, divided into 4 circuits, so a single segment run consists of the total time of all 16 fights. Now, Super Punch-Out is a bit different than runs I've covered before. It is quite literally a gauntlet of RNG.
Yes, sir.
You have to make
yes,
it through
is.
all 16 fights relatively unscathed from bad luck to complete a good run. The fights range from non-random
Thanks to give subs
to
Zucky
can kill
and
your
Prime
run
Frost.
with one foul swoop. And of course, you have to execute on top of that. If you get good luck but make an execution mistake, your run may be over.
You should do a video on SpongeBob Battle for
the
Bikini Bottom.
strategies themselves haven't changed that
Shift
much
did a
over
great
the
video
years.
on it already.
Instead, the progression has come from improving execution and getting the RNG
Resub
gauntlet
Yoshi.
to better align. And believe me, it is made for some unbelievable stories over the years.
Who? Here. I'm surprised more people haven't seen this. This video was extremely popular. I think it's a little outdated now. It'll probably just come up with this. It was, I'm pretty sure it was Shift that did it. Yeah, it was Shift. Like these two videos were like pretty popular on Reddit, I guess, in particular. I spend a lot of time on like fucking Reddit, even though I shit on it all the time. It's where I get like the majority of my information on a daily basis. But the speedrun history of Battle for Bikini Bottom is fucking crazy. Like, way deeper than you would ever expect it to be. And I remember, this could be outdated now, Shift in particular. He's like a great guy, but I remember watching his stream one time, he was saying how he dedicated his whole life to Battle for Bikini Bottom, invested like a crypto in Bikini Bottom, expecting and hoping that it will eventually get big enough where it could be his career, which luckily it did. But he was telling like how he'd often decline any kind of social events just to stay home and grind. And like, you know, go for the optimizations, master the route and everything. And then he made these two videos which tell such a great story on all of, like the culmination of all of that work. Like these two are fucking beautiful. I'm shocked more people haven't seen them. Though, I mean, these are good views. Dude is like 100% speedrunning it right now. I bet Shift is live right now. Let me see. I was wrong. When was he last online? Looks like we just missed him. But yeah, he grinds the fuck out of it. He is the pioneer.
But for now, let's go back to December 2012,
rug in the big
when a runner
tier 3
completed
realm.
one of the earliest single-segment runs of Super Punch-Out. He's arguably the most well-known Punch-Out runner in the world today, but back then, he was relatively unknown. His name is Zallard1.
Zallard.
Zallard performed his run on Christmas Eve 2012.
He's a prime tour Lenny.
His first completed single-segment run, which also happened to be the world record. Right off the bat, you've got two types of fights in Super Punch-Out: the random ones and the non-random ones. The non-random fights tend to be toward the start of the game, like the first fight, Gabby J. Zallard started by repeatedly punching him in the face. These punches were all buffered, meaning as soon as one was thrown, he held the buttons for the next
It's a cool
so it
game.
would come out on the first frame possible. These face punches served two purposes. First, they helped fill the super meter, seen here at the bottom of the screen. Once filled, you can throw super punches that do more damage. And second, they helped fill the dizzy meter, a mechanic abused across all 16 fights in the game. If you punch an opponent a lot in a short period of time, an invisible dizzy meter starts to get filled. Do this enough, and they'll become dizzy and back away. By precisely timing a punch when they come back,
Bro, look at those titties.
They'll get knocked down instantly.
Man, don't be mean to Gab.
This is used across the run to score quick knockdowns, and leads to most opponents being beaten in just seconds. Finally, there was one last step to this fight. A dizzy opponent has that window where they can instantly be knocked down. However, this window can be quite small, and it's easy for even a world-class player to miss. Fortunately, Zallard invented a way around that. Buffer strategies. By chaining a series of inputs together, it's possible to waste the exact number of frames you want so an attack will land on the same frame every time. For example, let's say Gabby J's knockdown
It seems like the hardest part about Super Punch-Out is always going to be the
129
RNG.
frames after the dizzy begins.
I can't imagine there's too
Well,
much
it just so
you can do to
happens that a
manipulate
full
it.
duck, a right body punch, and a high super waste exactly 120 frames. So if you just buffer those inputs together, making each come out on the first frame possible, the super comes out at the perfect time to knock him down. Buffers like this exist on every fight in the game, and help make the dizzy knockdowns much more consistent.
Is the resub rain?
Non-random fights like Gabby J are usually pretty simple, but the difficulty level ramps up as the game goes on. Take Aaron Ryan, the 9th fight. The first knockdown is from a dizzy, but when he gets up, you have to precisely time a super to counter his attack and send him down again. Zallard didn't have a buffer to time it, but he nailed it to send him down for the KO.
Good to see you, Trey. I've been alright, man. Hope you're doing well.
Those fights are non-random or close to it. Others include Piston Hurricane, Mr. Sandman, and Heike Kagero. You get them dizzy and use a buffer to knock them down. Some have tough punches that have to be timed, while others are even simpler.
I have to imagine
That's
speedrunning a game this old is always going to be frustrating too.
But then, there are the random fights. These are the fights that more or less define Super Punch-Out as a speed game. Not only do you need to execute properly, that's a given, but you also need to deal with luck. Luck that can range from a golden opportunity to potentially
just get lucky.
Fucking Take idiots. Dragon Chan, the 6th fight in the game. The first phase of the fight, up until the first knockdown, is simple. You throw a sequence of gut punches, most with a slight delay before them, then use a buffer sequence to send him down. Phase 2, once he's up from the first knockdown, is where the randomness begins.
Yeah, I saw ADP's TikTok.
There are 3 things Dragon Chan can do here. 50% of the time he does kicks, where you have to just dodge out of the way, then use rapid punches to send him down at around 12 seconds. 25% of the time, he does a slow heal, where he stands still and tries to heal his health. 2 supers send him down, and you get a time in the high 9-second range. And 25% of the time, he does a fast heal, where using just 1 super gives a time in the high 7s. That's a range of more than 4 seconds for 1 fight. Given that boxers are beaten in 15 seconds or less, that's a massive time swing. And Dragon Chan is just one example. Zallard had to deal with
RNG in runs
like
is always the most frustrating
on more than
thing.
half the fights in the game. But we'll get to that later. For now, the sum of his 16 fights came out to 3 minutes and 10 seconds. It was a well-executed run, and had a range of good and bad luck. Over the following few weeks in 2013, Zallard would keep doing attempts and chipping away at the record.
RNG in races
took it lower
is nice,
into the
though.
3s, approaching the sub-3 barrier but falling just short. However, on March 19th, thanks to a couple fights in particular, Zallard had a very promising run. This is Bob Charlie. He's a gauntlet of RNG, and being the 5th fight in the game, he's the earliest boxer who can kill a run from randomness alone. Zallard went for the riskiest strategy on Bob, which involves hitting him 7 times in the face.
The game's so quick though, you could probably always go for the riskiest one.
However, he can randomly dodge any of these 7 punches, meaning you have to do an additional punch later on to make up for it. He can also dodge that punch. So to get the fastest time on Bob with this strategy, all 7 of your punches need to go through, and a super in phase 2 needs to as well. It can lead to a time in the 5-second range. However, every dodged punch loses a second and a half. 1 dodge isn't too bad, but 2 or 3 or 4 dodges, your time can spiral in a hurry.
I imagine they found
Luckily
a cool
Zallard,
glitch at some
on
point
this particular
just
run,
to fuck him up.
Bob only dodged once, so he moved on with a very solid 6.99.
When are you running the Hobbit?
Unfortunately, Dragon Chan
I still
gave
have to
kicks,
learn it.
so he failed to gain much time there. But thanks to some very solid execution down the stretch, Zallard was able to keep it close going into the special circuit.
Hey, somebody saw it.
And it was there he had to face off against Hoy Carlo.
Oh, you don't want to face off against Hoy Carlo. That guy's a bad man.
Brutal. He's extremely random, and he's the 3rd to last fight in the game. Not an opportune time for a bunch of RNG. A lot of the first phase of the fight is playing it by ear. You want to throw punches and hit him with supers to get him dizzy. Of course, he can randomly block you, duck under punches, and potentially shove you to the side. If he shoves, it destroys your dizzy meter and can kill your run instantly. In phases 2 and 3, you need to throw supers to knock him down twice more. He can randomly duck under these. Each duck loses about a second and a half, or potentially more depending on his next moves. Now, in theory, if you play it risky and get no blocks, shoves, or ducks, you can beat Hoy in 8 seconds.
I feel like it's always worth to go for that.
The odds in getting it were less than 2%.
Oh, maybe not.
A 10 to 12 second Hoy is very solid, but it can get ugly quickly. If he shoves in phase 1, it can be impossible to beat him in under 20 seconds. As you can imagine, it's awful to have to deal with this at the end of a run. But this time, Zallard got some luck. An 11-second Hoy with no ducks.
Not bad.
It put him ahead, and he never looked back.
Thanks, we said Dago and
A
Big Mom.
254 single segment run. Fantastic execution.
Breaking the 3-minute mark.
And sub 3 by a mile. In the description, Zallard could only manage 1 word of analysis. What? With the record being well below 3 minutes, Zallard would take a break from Super Punch-Out runs. He was the only runner in sight of the record. Months passed, and his 254 was just solidified at the top. But as good as that 254 was,
Thanks,
Zallard knew
Lobo.
he could still squeeze a bit more time out of it, and with all the randomness across the game, in theory, the record could come under 250.
Ooh,
So in early
tier 3, Jay.
2014,
Welcome
he
aboard,
hopped
Lurking
back
Jay.
on
Thank
and
you, man.
started doing attempts. On January 23rd, he had a run with an okay start. 2 dodges from Bob Charlie, and some mistakes that put him slightly further behind.
Oof.
On Hoy, he got a solid 12-second fight with no ducks, but some bad luck at the end brought the run back to nearly even. In the end, Zallard technically
Prime
did
Azul.
have himself
Gonna
a
give some
new
Kaiboir.
record. Just weeks later, he chipped away a bit more. He had a reasonable pace into the special circuit with time to save. However, he still had to get
I don't remember
through
that
Hoy.
schoolboy.
1, 2. Yuck.
Thank you for 5 gift subs, Truly. And tier 1 Mike. Thank you for your
Dick.
generosity, Truly.
3 dodges.
Not exactly ideal. Even so, with time to save at the end, Zallard was able to do it again.
Fuck yeah! Another third of a second.
This is one of those
these
games that's
records
just
were
always
nice
gonna have
and
a
all,
perfect
but they weren't
optimization.
exactly setting the world
Like a
on fire.
theoretical best limit.
In all, Zallard had lowered the record by 0.75 seconds. He knew he could do more. He continued with attempts, and weeks passed, but the game's killer randomness prevented any other records. It was starting to get very frustrating. And then came February 27th,
T-Pain
2014.
starts running it. Thanks to the bits, Paleo. Good to see you, man.
This
fresh.
was an incredible chance for Zallard.
Okay, Jesus.
Luck
No, I haven't looked, but I can tell you just right away, EDP did not get killed. That's like that Rip Joe Rogan meme. He's not dead. Jesus Christ. Literally one guy said that, and for like the last 5 minutes there's been a bunch of other people asking if it's true. No, it's not. Christ. It's a fucking meme. EDP just opened a TikTok account. Unless TikTok assassins got him in the last 40 minutes, I guess it's possible. Unlikely. I don't feel like looking. I can just probably assume it's just a meme.
had finally gone his way. His execution
tier 1
had
wrench.
been on point from start to finish, more than 4 seconds ahead of the record. This was a rare opportunity to jump straight to the 240s. But in his way was one more fight. The last fight in the game. And this one was gonna be tough. Nick Bruiser.
Oh no.
Nick Bruiser is the
Goddamn.
most difficult fight in the run by a long shot. Just as with other fights, your goal is to get Nick dizzy and time a super to knock him down. The best way to get him dizzy is to counter him, then jab him out until the meter is filled and he backs away. Seems simple, right?
Too easy
Well,
almost.
there's one extra consideration to make. Nick can throw his punch either high or low. There's a 50% chance of each. So you start the fight with 2 face punches, and then you have to react to which punch he sets up.
So this
to
is where the
throw.
talent comes in.
If Nick drops
Separates
his glove
boys from
down,
men.
he's throwing low, and you counter with a body punch. If instead he brings them up high, you counter with a face punch. The window to react to this is just barely within the limits of a human reaction time.
It
You
can't
have to
be
see if
tighter
his
than
gloves
Sifu.
are high or low, then send the signal to your hands to throw high
Oh,
or
wait,
low
holy
in
shit, that was
time
it?
before Nick punches you. If you're playing with any input delay, this is practically
Oh,
impossible.
what the fuck?
The only way to have a real chance is to play on console with a CRT TV. Now, imagine having to do that at the very end of a record-paced
Okay,
run.
Not gonna lie, that's
After
pretty tight
all
timing.
the insane RNG from the first 15 fights. The pressure
There's
you're
some
under in a
Dingle and
situation
Kogadama.
like this is enormous.
And bit stable.
Nick can also switch his guard partway through, starting with his gloves high and bringing them low, or vice versa. You have to react if he does that. And finally, if you do everything properly in Phase 1, Well, congratulations. You have to do the exact same thing in Phase 2. Unless he randomly blocks you, in which case you have to get lucky and hope he lets you land 2 supers in a row. So, Zallard entered Nick Bruiser 4 seconds ahead of the record.
And the resub dingle.
If he was going to pull this off, he had to execute the most difficult strategy in the game on one of the best paces he had ever been on.
Zallard doesn't
Just
crumble
don't
under
mess up.
pressure, though. Man doesn't even feel pressure. Easy counter. Nice. Oh, that's game time, baby. Put him in the books.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Not only did he hit the counter, but he did so on the first frame possible. A frame-perfect counter speeds up Phase 1 by a fraction of a second and allows for some wiggle room later on. One more phase, and the sub 250
He doesn't
will be
choke.
his.
He doesn't choke, though. Oh, baby.
Oh, please.
What'd I tell ya?
Stay down, you motherfucker. Yes!
Let's go!
Yes!
Can he get up after that? I thought it was just
Fuck
kaput.
yes, dude. Get fucked, Super Punch Out.
Super Punch-Out had just been taken to a new level. A sub 250 was
Please
Zallard's
resub
ultimate
wavy.
goal, and in dramatic fashion, he had done it. With nobody close to him on the leaderboards, he felt safe to stop running the game. Mission accomplished.
Until Distortion 2 runs it. Man's run every other game. Might as well take another record. Oof. What's happening? Oh, we're going straight to hell now. The bad boy Punch-Out appears? You goddamn right. Has Summoning Salt ever covered one of your speedruns? No, but he told me he's going to be covering Mr. Krabs overdoses on ketamine and dies and House of Caravan, so he will soon. Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. It's coming, I'm sure.
Heartbreaking. Nick threw his punch up, but Zallard missed the counter. It was on pace for a mind-boggling 240 with 2 fights to go, and a 243 into Nick. This wouldn't have beaten the record. It would have obliterated it. Unfortunately, landing counters on Nick under pressure is one of the hardest things you can do. And this time, it was just too much for him. But what this run did do was prove how much time was still left to save. He saved almost 7 seconds combined on Bob Charlie and Dragon Chan, with just 1 dodge and the fast heal, respectively. There was also some time to save on Hoy.
Resub meme.
Getting a time around 10 seconds was reasonable. The real problem was getting all that to line up, then landing counters on Nick knowing what you're about to possibly do. But the potential was there. If not for a 240, then maybe for something more reasonable. On June 3rd, 2015, Zallard had a run that saved the 7 seconds early, but unfortunately, he lost most of that time on Mad Clown.
What?
Clown is
Oh
yet
my goodness.
another point of severe RNG in the run. There's a lot that
Mad
goes
Clown's a
into it,
joke.
but a lot of what to look for is what happens right at the start. You begin by throwing 2 face punches and hoping they both land. If they do, you're in good shape for later. If he dodges, you're losing about a second, but if he blocks, you lose time there and in phase 2 since he gets a bigger health refill. If both
What an
punches
asshole.
land to start the fight, you can beat Clown in as low as 9 seconds.
Thanks for resub
That's the
BKF,
best case
chill,
scenario.
and tier 1 whoopity.
An average standard Mad Clown fight is in the 12-second range. However, if he really wants to screw around, it can get much worse.
Super Punch out a
And
good
on
game.
this
I liked
particular
it.
run, Clown wasn't playing nice, and Zallard missed the counter to waste a few seconds.
Thanks, Resub Oliver.
A 16 on Clown is pretty rough, and most of his lead was eliminated. But an 11 on Hoy and a good Nick fight was enough for a solid record.
Why even continue
dude.
after a 16 Clown? The motivation.
For real?
The balls on this man.
For real, dude?
Just a few days later, Zallard would follow this up with another record, a 244.
Ooh.
It was a nice time, but a frustrating run of give and take. He got a 5 on Bob, but it was immediately followed up with kicks on Dragon Shan. He gained several seconds on Clown, but lost a few on Hoy. But really, he was fortunate to get what he did.
Thanks to the
In
good
Super
Juice
Punch-Out,
and the bits, Jen.
Every
Thank you,
fight
man.
from Mad Clown onwards can kill your run just from luck alone. That's 6 luck gauntlets in a row you have to get through. If one fails, you might have to reset. The game can take an incredible pace and make it look
Does
like
Zallard
dirt
ever compete
before you
against anyone,
realize
though,
what
or is it
happened.
just Zallard?
Take this run,
Lonely at the top.
June 10th, 2015. Everything was going right. Zallard had managed a 5 on Bob
Thanks, Resub
Charlie,
Default.
a 7 on Dragon Shan from the low heel, and a reasonable 13 on Mad Clown. He was 3.5 seconds ahead, with more time to save later. He just had to make it through the next few fights. This is Super Macho Man, the last fight in the World Circuit. Zallard's Phase 1 strategy at the time was simple. Start with a gut punch,
Spam,
then
yeah.
counter him a couple times, throw a couple supers, and knock him down in the upper 6-second range. Macho can mess things up if he dances around, but more often than not, you should be good for a knockdown in the upper 6s.
Thanks, Resub Grouchy.
However,
and
this fight
Oh.
takes a turn in Phase 2. You can get Macho to stay down for the second knockdown, but only if this knockdown comes within the following 3 seconds after the first knockdown. So, in this scenario, if your second knockdown comes at 7, 8, or 9 seconds, Macho will stay down for a KO. If it comes at 10 seconds or later, he'll get up and you'll have to knock him down a third time. This mechanic is carried across many fights in the game. So, Zallard had to go for a very quick knockdown in Phase 2. He had to throw a low super, counter in the gut, then knock him down with another low
seems
super.
like that should be good, right?
If Macho
We like that.
moves around at the start, this strategy doesn't work. If Macho
you some
does
dubs.
any of his 3 exercise programs, this strategy doesn't work.
Very
The
cool,
only way
JD.
it works is if Macho stands perfectly still for the whole phase. It's possible, but not very likely. So, what did
Thanks, you
Macho
said
do
Brandon.
this time?
Oh!
That's what I thought.
He lost more than 7 seconds. A
Damn.
brutal blow, but the run was still technically alive.
How?
Next up, however, was Narcissus Prince, the most random fight in the entire game. Honestly,
He looks like
there's
one of those
too many
Toy
different
Story
things
dolls.
this guy can do to explain here. He can randomly block you, dodge you, give many different patterns, and much more. But he has the same KO mechanic as Macho, where if your second knockdown is within 3 seconds of your first, he typically stays down for good. With maximum cooperation, it's possible to beat Narcissus in the 10 to 11 second range, but there's so much that can go wrong. Anything under 15 seconds was considered a pretty good fight, but if Narcissus wants to waste time,
Yeah, kind of
he
Kindle-ish.
can make the KO impossible and essentially kill the run. And what sort of fight do you think he gave Zallard on this run?
The best one.
Nice. Good shit, Narcissus. You're so good. Let's see here. What is that? 2173?
Pretty good.
12
Oof.
seconds. Nope.
Run over. A small mistake plus a lot of bad luck. In just 2 fights, one of
Thanks for playing,
Zallard's
James.
best paces ever was completely destroyed. He had just lost 16 seconds, largely due to no fault of his own. Because, you see, Super Punch-Out does not care about the runner.
Oh yeah, she's a cruel
It
mistress.
doesn't care what pace you're on. It doesn't care how badly you want the record.
Exit Prime.
It doesn't care
Overt
how
Geo?
well you're playing. It can take away your run whenever it feels. You can be on the run of your life, execute everything perfectly, but if you get bad luck,
You get some
it's
Mackie.
game over. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So, 244 was where the record stayed. More months went by, with no improvements in sight. Interestingly, in August 2015, a second person managed a sub
let's
3
go!
when Hootie
New
pulled
face?
off a 253. But he was far from the record. Still, Zallard at least had a little bit of competition now. In September, Zallard did shave off another
As we
couple
said,
tenths of
super
a
O-
second,
Super
but this
OQ
wasn't the multiple second
Mango.
improvement he knew was possible.
in Robington.
But on September 30th, he was gonna have a chance. A second behind the record, with 6 fights to go, Zallard entered Mad Clown, needing a good fight. He ended up with an 11,
Not bad.
easily good enough. On Macho, he got the good luck for a 10-second fight.
Okay, okay.
Narcissus didn't mess around too much, and he was able to get the KO at 11 seconds. Suddenly, Zallard was back in the lead.
Well,
Thanks, you give some agent.
Next up was Hoy,
Tier
who
1
we
loot.
know can
loot.
be just awful. But he got no ducks in phases 2 or 3. Yet another 11-second fight. And Zallard was 2 seconds
He's
ahead
fucking cooking.
with 2 fights to go.
Now he just has to beat Android
This
16.
run was on pace for a 241. The type of run Zallard had been looking for years. But there's one fight I haven't told you about yet. Because Nick Bruiser has a twin brother that comes right before him.
Oh,
This is Rick Bruiser. Rick is a
I don't know what I
really
was
straightforward fight. There's no luck involved for the first 2 phases, and the execution isn't too hard either. You get him dizzy in phase 1, then use counters and supers in phase 2. That stuff's fine. But then there's phase 3.
3?
The entire fight is made or broken on the first punch of this phase. If this high super lands, you'll finish the fight at 11 seconds. If it doesn't,
Prime Furry.
you're getting a 16, or in rare cases a 14, but more often than not, it's a 16. That's a 5-second difference.
Yeah, that's
Enormous
unforgivable.
for a game like this. 5/8 of the time, the super lands. 3/8 of the time, it does not.
Thanks,
That's
Resub.
all there is to it.
Animav.
A little over half the time, Rick Bruiser will let you through, but 3 times out of 8, he will destroy your run. So,
That's Rick for ya.
Zallard entered the fight 2 seconds ahead. A huge opportunity, but he had the threat of a massive time loss hanging over his head.
So who haven't we seen then? So it looks like, I mean, and I knew this going in, it's very RNG heavy, but it looks like every single boss can just be a run-ender except for Gabby, Wreck-It Ralph, whoever the fuck this is up here. Super Macho Man was a run-ender. Bob Charlie, also RNG heavy, pretty tough. I forgot this guy's name. The Luchador Rey Mysterio here, he hasn't mentioned, so I'm guessing that's free. Hasn't mentioned this guy, probably free. Raccoon or whoever this is also must be free, haven't mentioned. This guy also hasn't been mentioned, probably free. And then Mad Clown, Super Macho, Narcissus, Hoy. So basically just the second half of the run is really tough, with 2 in the middle.
And what did Rick Bruiser do? Well, it's Super Punch-Out, late on record pace.
Thanks, Resub.
What do you think Rick did?
Bent over and let him have it. Ooh!
didn't do it. So it's over. The run is dead.
No mercy.
Thanks for Prime Arctic.
244 is where the record would have to stay. Zallard took a break for a few months, but still, there was no real threat to his record. Hootie was still the second place runner, nearly 10 seconds behind. So, in early 2016, Zallard came back for more, praying he could get the last few seconds within his grasp. On April 14th, he had a run slightly behind.
It must be super
with
frustrating
4
to be
fights
that close
go.
to the theoretical
He had
best.
time to save against a 14 Narcissus split,
There's
and
the reset
managed
shade.
a 13. Hoy was another fight with time to save, and once again he squeezed out a second. So, Zallard was ahead going into Rick Bruiser. If he would just stand still and take the uppercut, he was gonna have a shot at the record. He needed the 5/8 luck.
We got it.
And he got it. Zallard was now 2 Nick counters away from a world record.
Not by a ton though, right? He's not going to be satisfied with that. If there's one thing I know about Zallard, is he is just not satisfied unless it is the best.
More.
Thanks for the resub.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Finally, Zallard had lowered the record. This wasn't the god run he was looking for.
Fuck, I'm sorry to hear that, Blue
Dragon
Man.
Chan gave kicks, Clown gave a 12, and
There's
the
a
special
Prime
circuit
Maturity.
could have been better, but it was still a 243. After this run, Zallard took a step back not only from Super Punch-Out, but from speedrunning as a whole. For a year and a half, he didn't do any runs, giving other runners a serious opportunity to step in and take the record.
So Hootie and Samantha?
But nobody did.
Oh.
Zallard remained at the top unchallenged, with the closest player still being Hootie. It's quite rare
Come on,
to have
Hootie, what the
records
fuck?
undisputed for this long, but Zallard's mastery of the game
Thanks for resub,
was
Callie.
far
Let me
ahead
give
of
sub Big
anyone
Meat.
else's. Finally, 18 months after his 243, he went back to attempts. It was hard to expect a record right away, since it had been so long since his last attempts. It took some time to get back into it, but he eventually started getting runs deep. Still, nothing good enough for a record. But all of a sudden, on November 29th, 2017,
Oh.
Zallard found himself on this run.
Getting close to current year. Oh, it's looking pretty good. Mad Clown getting fucked. Okay, okay. Ooh.
This is kind of stupid.
Super Macho Man, though.
There's no way I'm getting the KO, dude. No fucking way, dude. No fucking way. What is this?
The God Run online?
What is this bullshit?
Narcissus even making it easy? Okay, okay. It's fate. The heavens have chosen him. The boy wonder.
Alright, Rick could totally fucking dodge me, and it could still be okay.
Don't say that. Don't even put that bad. Oh, let's go. This is big. Sub 230 online. Now it's all up to Nick.
I'm gonna miss, dude.
Will he let us eat his ass? Come on, baby. Fucking boss baby out here. Oh! Oh my god! Zallard! No, Zallard!
One of the toughest things to do in speedrunning is executing under pressure. Super Punch-Out may be known for its randomness, but even when you walk the lines, you still have to execute. And if you don't, you're gonna get punished.
Oh, it's tough.
Fortunately, after years of running the game, Zallard had become quite resilient, and a few months later, he had another run ahead into the special circuit, albeit not quite as far ahead.
Yeah, fuck this, man.
But
Who
suddenly,
cares?
after
This is a
managing
bad,
a
stupid
10 on
run.
Hoy, the pace became much more serious.
Oh!
A 6-second lead late in the run,
Wait a minute.
just 2 fights to go, A huge chance for redemption. Wanna guess what Rick did in Phase 3? Of course. Still, he led by about a second,
Rough.
and hit the counters on Nick for a small record.
That's it.
It wasn't what it could have been, but a 242 was
He's a
still
tier 1
progress
Greg.
made. And on April 26th, he'd make even more progress. A 240.36.
Here we go.
Cutting off nearly
Zalyard.
2 seconds, this was the biggest improvement he had made to the record in nearly 3 years. But at the end of the run, Zalyard didn't sound too happy about it.
Give me the unwinnable luck here, please. Please. God fucking damn it, dude.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he didn't.
Dude.
Like I said, Zalyard just cares most about the best
Why
run.
was that? Well, despite the improvement, this run could have been a lot better. On Mr. Sandman, he mistimed a high super to lose 2 seconds. And on Hoy, he lost over 1.5 seconds from a mistimed low super. Had he not made those errors, this run would have finished at an incredible 236.
Oh, that's tough.
But mistakes
Rough,
were made,
rough.
and the result was a
Give some
frustrating
Mackie.
world
Give some
record.
meow.
Take a look at this timeline. This was all Zalyard. He had set 16 records over the course of 5.5 years. This sort of thing is very rarely seen in speedrunning. A runner
Can't
can
anyone
sometimes
challenge this
dominate
guy?
for a few years,
Hootie?
but for it to continue for this long was pretty special. Zalyard had eyes for a run in the 230s, but 240 was a seriously good time. And it was going to have
Enjoy
to
the
be
new
good
car,
enough,
base babe.
as Zalyard slowly stopped playing and didn't run the game for months. His 240 remained at the top
He's a tier 1
unchallenged.
Cacper.
But suddenly, in 2019, the unthinkable happened. A new contender began rising up the leaderboards.
Oh my god! A challenger?
He became the second player to get a time under 250.
Who is it? What's his name?
And suddenly,
Is it
he was just
Mizkif?
5 seconds from the record. And he was going to try to do something nobody else had done before. Become the first Super Punch-Out single segment record holder not named Zalyard 1. His name was Mystery Man 95.
Oh, that's so fitting too.
Mystery Man was a seasoned veteran in the Punch-Out series, running Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and holding the record in Punch-Out Wii. These games all require precise timing and rhythm, so it's no
Is the
wonder he was able
recipient?
to adapt so easily. But there's one other thing to keep in mind about Mystery Man. He
We don't
played
know it.
on Wii U Virtual Console, meaning he had a few frames of input delay. Remember how you have to react to Nick Bruiser's guard? That's effectively impossible with input delay.
So he just has to guess.
So, Mystery Man had to just guess where Nick's guard is and not react.
Honestly,
This
probably for
added
the
a
best.
huge luck barrier to the end of the game. He'd usually have to correctly guess a 50-50 guard position twice in a row.
That's what I said at the very beginning. So since the run is, it's like a 3-minute run at worst. I really think it is always for the best. Maybe just to gamble on luck and go for that optimal strat. Because without reacting and just letting fate take it, you do save some time and takes a lot of stress off the plate. It's like, out of my hands. You know, I gambled. Because it's so short, you can just restart. You can do like fucking 2,000 runs a day, right? Oh, true. 15 RTA. You're not wrong. Okay, true. That's right. Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, I'm a fucking idiot. True.
Once in Phase 1 and once in Phase 2. He'd need to do that to have any shot at beating Zalyard's record. Fortunately, Mystery Man had some strategies to help on other fights. One was on
Thanks for
Bob
resub Chunky
Charlie.
in the Prime X move.
The old
Resub
strategy
sucks.
involved 7 punches in Phase 1 where Bob could dodge any of them. Instead, he countered Bob on the 5th one and did the rest while stunning him. This cost about a second, but made it so that Bob could now only dodge the first 4 punches rather than all 7. He also did something different on Macho. By delaying Phase 1 slightly to get the knockdown at a 7 instead of a 6, the KO window shifted up to 10 seconds instead of 9. You could then delay the first punch of phase 2 so that it intercepts if Macho hops to the side, making a KO possible.
Damn,
in
Mystery
more
Man kinda
situations.
innovating.
These strategies were both developed by Chambers, and Zalor did use them for his last few records, but not the majority of them. And Hoodie had figured out something additional on Macho, ducking into a left jab, right jab to start phase 1 to counter Macho if he dances at the start. So, Mystery Man had a chance to really put these strats to use and see what he could do. And in August 2019, with his personal best at 245, he was going to try to close the gap on one attempt.
Oh, Mystery Man's dialed in. Can you feel that? Typing in chat during his own record. What a maniac. That's that alpha shit. Oh! Big counter. The 50-50! Is Mystery Man the one chosen by the gods? Mystery Man! Oh! He did it. Nice. Good work. Hey, Team Mystery Man.
There was a new king of Super Punch-Out, and he had done it by a mile. Mystery Man himself didn't see this coming. A 236 demolished the record. The most incredible part of this run was the special circuit. It set a new standard. A 12 on Narcissus was a solid start, but a 9 on Hoy was incredible. He had a perfect phase 1 and just one duck in phase 2. Rick took the uppercut in phase 3, and he landed both counters on Nick. These were the types of special circuits you needed for a world record. You need great luck and no mistakes. And despite the input delay, despite the massive odds against him, Mystery Man had pulled it off at the end of a run. For the first time ever, the record didn't belong to Zalor 1. Mystery Man had ushered in a new era of Super Punch-Out speedrunning, as slowly, the leaderboard began to expand with more
floodgates
people
are open
attaining
now. This is how it always happens.
This was the type of competition Super Punch-Out had been missing for the last several years. By mid-2020, there were 7 runners with a time below 3 minutes. One of those people was known as Stock. Stock had a similar path to Mystery Man, slowly lowering his personal best before settling on a 245. This meant he was still 9 seconds from the record. But in August 2020, he would find himself on a remarkable pace. 10 seconds ahead of his personal best,
holy
and
shit,
a second ahead of the record, going into Rick.
Was that clown? Hold on, I want to look at that clown. A 9-second clown? Is that better than Mystery Man's? I don't remember what his clown was. That feels like super fast.
This was a 2:35 pace, and he was in position to take the record. He just needed Rick to stand still in phase 3.
Let's go, Rick. Be nice. Thanks, Rick.
He did not. But thanks to his huge lead, Stock still finished with a 2:39, the second sub 240 ever achieved. Entering 2021, Mystery Man's world record was still on top, but the community was ever expanding. By February, 2 more players had achieved times in the
shit's
low
getting
240s.
crazy now.
Cranklinson and
the new
Mr.
generation.
Mega. And the top of the leaderboard was getting quite crowded. It seemed inevitable that someone was gonna break through.
He's a prime Chiron.
And on February 26th, Cranklinson was gonna have a shot at it. He fell behind early thanks to a dodge from Bob and the slow heal on Dragon Chan. But from there, everything got better. A 9 on Clown, a 10 on Macho, and a 9 on Narcissus.
Oh!
3 essentially perfect splits in a row. A 10 on Hoy was easily good enough, and Rick took the uppercut.
Thanks, Rick.
He was about a second ahead of the record going into Nick Bruiser. But here's the thing. Just like Mystery Man, Cranklinson played on Wii U Virtual Console.
Oh boy,
So
he's fucked.
he too had to guess on both of Nick's counters. The odds were stacked against him, but all he could do was try.
Oh shit! Let's go, Cranklinson.
New world record, 235.68. Cranklinson had about as close to a perfect second half as possible. Specifically, these 3 fights were impossible to gain time on, at least with the strategies he was using. The major circuit lost him some time, but when combined with the incredible second half, it was easily good enough for a record.
Was
As
it enough to
2021
like, get the
continued,
community to give him an
the
Elgato
leaderboards
so he could
became
film it
more
better?
and more active. By May, 6 people had a time in the 230s. As incredible as Zallard's dominance was,
Now he's nowhere to be
he was
seen.
now in 7th place. The level of luck you needed for a world record run was rapidly increasing. If you got a 12 on Narcissus, that suddenly didn't look so good compared to the 9 that was in the record. A few new strategies were worked out, particularly on Narcissus, but the biggest one was on Hoy. Cranklinson had figured out a new Phase 1 that would ultimately give a higher chance for the 8-second TKO. Those fights would be crucial as the record was approaching the low 230s.
Oh,
In
Rip Zallard.
mid-2021, players Murakuma, Mr. Mega, Universe, and Fat Potato Seal would all have runs make it to the final 2 fights on record pace. Sadly, in Murakuma's case,
Is
he
he some
made a
gamer?
mistake on Rick. And for the rest, they lost the run to Nick Bruiser.
Damn you, Nick.
Especially at the end of a run, it was really hard to get everything to align. But players knew there was a little more they could get out of this run. With several people at the top trying, they knew that the God run could happen. A run where everything lines up.
You just
But
have to
the odds in
believe.
a run like this
Get
were
some
getting
Shungai
very
crystals.
low.
Fucking
At this
rub 'em.
point, likely 1 in several hundred. Was anybody gonna take it below 235?
Oh, that's so sad. You don't even see Zallard in the screenshot there. The man who dominated the scene for, what was it? I think it was like 5, what was it? Almost like 5 years? No, it was longer than that. Wasn't it like, it was like 6 or 7 years or something. 6 years. 5 years? Was it 5? Fuck. Regardless, 5+ years. And then the new generation comes, the fucking Zoomers, and they kick him out. God rest the soul of the old guard.
Anybody gonna take it below 235? On September 3rd, 2021, Mr. Mega was doing some record attempts, and he suddenly found
Thanks, Reese and
himself
Luke.
on an incredible pace. A 6 on Bob, followed by a 7 on Dragon
Let
Champ,
Zallard
and a
rest.
7
He
on
built the
Masked
stadium
Muscle.
they play in.
3 fights in a row with
Cute.
perfect RNG. So far, this was essentially a perfect run. He lost a bit over a second thanks to a 10 on Clown,
rough.
and got a 12 on Narcissus, but he could easily afford it on this pace. A little over a second ahead going into Hoy, now more than ever, he needed a good fight.
Thanks to Prime Pulley Beats. Oh, I thought the game crashed.
An 8 is a perfect time for Hoy. Rick Bruiser led his super through, and Mr. Mega was 3.5 seconds ahead.
Come on,
into
Nick.
Bruiser.
Come on,
This
Nick.
wasn't just world record pace. This was destroy the world record pace. If there was ever a time to execute on Nick Bruiser, this was it.
This is the one.
No pressure.
And Mr. Mega's never felt pressure in his life. Oh yeah, that's Mr. Mega.
First counter.
Oh, some wonder if he's even human. Let's go.
World record! World record, dude! Are you fucking serious? Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! 232! Oh my
Let's go, Mr. Mega.
A huge world record from Mr. Mega. He
Damn.
had just shot
Fucking clown, unlucky. This would have been a crazy record too, if not for Clown and Narcissus. Sad. It was very close to the God run.
From Mr. Mega. He had just shot himself from 5th to 1st place. This was the time the community had been looking
Yeah, I
for
saw
all
Foreskin.
these years.
I saw his TikTok.
A run in the low 230s. Good luck nearly everywhere, and nailing it down on Nick Bruiser. It wasn't perfect, but the opportunities for time saves were extremely limited. Super Punch-Out had finally gotten the run it deserved.
He's resub Nova.
And that's where this video would end.
Atlanta.
That's where the story would end. But it doesn't.
Because T-Pain
Look,
started running it and got a sub
first-person
230.
narration often, but I don't really have words to adequately describe what happened next. Because 8 days after Mr. Mega set this
Is it tier 1
record,
Risu?
Fat Potato Seal did one of the craziest things I've ever seen. On screen is the running total of the odds of the run Fat Potato Seal was on. He answered the first major luck barrier in the game, Bob Charlie, and ended up getting a 6. A perfect fight with
Nice.
no dodges or blocks. He then fought Dragon Chan, and once again got perfect luck with the low heal.
Not bad. 1 in
Masked
20.
Muscle
Basically
also gave the
100%.
best luck possible. He had gotten perfect luck through the first half of the game. He moved to the second half. On Mad Clown, he got a 9-second fight. The best possible luck.
Ooh, the Clown?
Poncho, he got the KO at 10 seconds. The best possible luck.
That's Fat Potato Seal,
On
baby.
Narcissus, he got a 9-second KO.
Look at that
Technically,
smile.
a high 8 is possible.
He's grinning,
but a
he
low
knows.
9 is essentially the best possible luck.
The gods chose him.
On Hoi, he got an 8-second TKO. The best possible luck. Then it was time for Rick, and his random uppercut in Phase 3. And yes, he got the best possible luck.
I need to hydrate ASAP.
I've been making these videos for 5 years, and this run, I genuinely don't remember seeing anything like this.
And then Nick
in any
fucks
other
it.
game.
Oh my god, I already know how it ends.
Other than half a second.
Nick ruins it.
On every single fight
No!
with significant RNG swing, he had just gotten perfect luck with his strategies. Not good luck, not great luck, perfect luck.
Don't do it, Nick.
Fat Potato Seal
Nick.
was on a 227
Don't
pace
do it, Nick.
into Nick Bruiser. Just imagine the pressure in a situation like
Oh, I
this.
don't wanna. I already know it. I already know it.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
I know what happens. Nick fucks it.
Your hands start to go numb.
That bastard.
You feel your heart beating in your throat.
I'm already mad.
Basic tasks become nearly impossible. And landing counters on Nick Bruiser is anything but a basic task. But he might never see this pace again in his life.
Come on, Fat Potato Seal. Let's go. Buckle down. He passes out. Come on, Fat Potato Seal. Don't do it, Nick. Give it to the boy. Oh no. I knew it. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I already knew it. Damn you, Nick!
Pizza cake. Right on.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
It's hard to expect anyone to have actually pulled it off at the end of this run. Even Fat Potato Seal, one of the best players in the world.
Ah,
The
that's sad.
situation he
I knew
was
it was
in was
coming. I already knew it.
unprecedented.
I had a fucking
And
feeling.
might not be seen again for months, years, or even longer. But still, it's a heartbreaking feeling. It just goes to show, even when Super Punch-Out does give you the luck, it can still punch you right in the face.
Yeah, true.
Over the years, we've seen all sorts of world records. Ones
Damn,
that seemed
that's
like
so
they had
sad.
no chance, ones that were on monster paces, and everything in between. This run's history isn't over yet, and this timeline isn't yet complete. We're just living in a moment of Super Punch-Out's history, and there's still plenty of history left to go. Thanks for watching.
Another banger.
If
Good
you
shit,
enjoyed,
Summoning Salt.
please consider subscribing and sharing the video with a couple
Oh,
friends.
that's so
It
sad.
goes a long way to help. Thanks.
Oh, I can't believe that shit. 1 in 2.68 million. Squandered! Did Fat Potato Seal retire after that? I honestly wouldn't blame him if he did. I would not touch the game ever again. Thanks, the resubsessory. You weren't kidding, that vid... Jesus, you weren't kidding that these vids go by quick. Yeah, because Summoning Salt makes nothing but bangers. 54 minutes, and I swear to God, I feel like I've only been here for 10. Good shit again, Summoning Salt. He almost got world record the day I uploaded. Really? Fat Potato Seal did? Where did he end up? Let me see. Oh, we got second. Yeah, 2 days ago. Alright, well he didn't quit. He's a stronger man than I am. I would have given up. I would have said, fuck this. Thanks for the gift sub, Moran. Nice day in the prime. Trav, Goji, and King Sir.